Well, just an hour ago, the fourth GOP presidential debate wrapped up. The final debate before the Iowa caucus turned fiery and personal as candidates made their policies clear to voters. Tonight, 4 out of the 5 qualified candidates took the stage, those being Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, and former Governor of New Jersey Chris Christie. Former President Trump once again chose not to participate. Local 5's Connor O'Neill joins us now. And Connor, you followed along with me on the debate in the newsroom. We were watching it. We were really glued to that screen tonight. What caught your ear? Well, it was the tension. You mentioned it in those headlines. It was tension throughout the whole event. There was not a lot of mention of President Biden, unlike previous debates. You know, they still talked about him, but instead there was just those fireworks you talked about between the Republican presidential candidates tonight. Let's take a listen.
I did say that there were some good people on that stage in that third debate. Doug Burgum was on that stage at that time, and I'll say that jokingly. Ron DeSantis is a good person, too. If you can't tell the difference between where Israel is and the U.S. is on a map, I can have my 3-year-old son show you the difference.
You do this at every debate.
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. He has insulted Nikki Haley's basic intelligence. Not her positions, her basic intelligence.
We need to go to these universities and say, if you're not going to protect these students, if you're not going to acknowledge anti-Semitism, we'll take your tax-exempt status away. That'll fix it, and that'll take care of it for good.
And you have other candidates up here like Nikki Haley. She caves anytime the left comes after her, anytime the media comes after her. I did a bill in Florida to stop the gender mutilation of minors. It's child abuse and it's wrong. She opposes that bill.
Continues to lie about my record. I actually said his Don't Say Gay bill didn't go far enough because it only talked about gender until the 3rd grade. And I said it shouldn't be done at all, that's for parents to talk about. It shouldn't be talked about with schools.
Yeah, I don't have a woman problem. You have a corruption problem. And I think that that's what people need to know. Nikki is corrupt. This is a woman who will send your kids to die so she can buy a bigger house.
We know from her history, Nikki will cave to those big donors when it counts, and that is not acceptable.
Now you can see how personal things got throughout that video, and that's because all 4 candidates, they continue to pull well behind former President Trump, and they're working to pitch themselves as the second or the third party option as caucuses approach. Steph? Connor, very good points made in there. Thank you very much. And to help help us all break this down, we are joined tonight by Iowa State School of Journalism and Mass Communication professor Dr. Kelly Winfrey. Dr. Winfrey, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so right out of the gate, if anybody was watching the debate or if we just watched Connor's package there, it seemed like it was open season on Nikki Haley right away. So what do you make of that?
Well, I think it's to be expected. Her poll numbers, there's some recent polling that showed her in a national election having the best chance against Biden. Her fundraising has gone up. She got a big endorsement last week from American Prosperities. So she's really got the momentum as far as the non-Trump candidates go. And so I think the other 3 on the stage, and particularly DeSantis and Ramaswamy, saw her as their biggest threat and the biggest competition.
And we saw some real jabs, a more animated atmosphere, I guess a nice way to put it. But it was blatantly name-calling, too. So why the mudslinging? Good strategy or bad strategy?
You know, I think it's a bad strategy. I think there are a lot of folks that are sick of how uncivil some of our political discussions are. The yelling and the crosstalk and the name-calling isn't really getting any ideas across. That said, you know, some of that's worked for Trump in the past. And it seems like Ramaswamy really has taken a page out of Trump's playbook in kind of those personal attacks against some of his opponents. At the same time, though, you know, the candidates need to be distinguishing themselves. They need to be showing why they are the person that Republicans should be caucusing for, should be voting for in those early states. And so they need to make some distinctions. But I think those are best made on policy issues and not on personal attacks. Or, as Chris Christie said, insulting someone's basic intelligence.
Absolutely. And, you know, Iowans, we're caucusing in under 6 weeks now. So these candidates will be here. They will be making that final push. Did anyone really address the issues that we know Iowans truly care about at this point?
You know, I don't think that they touched on or went into enough depth on issues that Iowans care about. There was some discussion of the economy, but what I didn't hear were really any specific plans of what they were going to do to help the average Midwestern Iowan, what they're going to do for an agricultural state like Iowa. There was a lot of talk of what Biden was doing or what Trump didn't do, but not a lot of what the candidates would do. Same with immigration. I think there was just a lack of general specificity, and debates are complicated because they have 90-second increments to make an argument, but they need to be telling a story throughout the debate and making their case for being the candidate. And I'm not sure that any of them did that spectacular of a job in really making that case as a whole.
I have one last question for you. If we had to take a snapshot of one moment in this debate that really was just kind of summarized it or was the defining moment, was there one for you?
Well, I guess I'd say when Nikki Haley said, thanks for all the attention, fellas. That kind of summed up, especially that first hour of the debate was really an open attack on her.
Absolutely. All right. We appreciate your insight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Dr. Kelly Winfrey.
Thanks.